United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Milanazzo, Mr. Conway,
Here.
Ms. Doherty, Ms. Larraba, Mr. Leahy,
Here.
Mr. Leary,
Here.
Ms. Martin.
Here.
4 here, 3 absent.
Okay. Now the minutes, we have a motion to accept the minutes. Motion to accept the minutes by Mr. Conway. Second by Ms. Martin. All in favor? Approved. Please note on file. Permission to enter, Madam Superintendent.
Larry. There's one item on the permission to enter this evening. Acre Family Child Care Incorporated in the amount of $10,080 to provide 2 part-time family child care spaces and transportation for infants and toddlers of Even Start families in order to fulfill full participation of parents in the Even Start program. Funding will be provided by the FY12 Even Start grant.
Move to approve by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. Conway. Roll call.
Mayor Milanazzo, Mr. Conway,
Yes.
Ms. Doherty, Ms. Larraba, Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
All passed. Memorials, committee as a whole. Leo G. Silva, father of the Wang school teachers Ann Millette and Patricia Colgan. Jeanette A. Beddos, mother of retired Assistant Administrator of Special Education Deborah Smith. Mary M. Murphy, mother of Special Education Evaluation Team Chairperson Mary Murphy Porcola. Florence Rapone, grandmother of Lowell High School teacher Lenny Rapone. Thomas J. Murphy, father-in-law of the Stocklosa School paraprofessional Fran Murphy. And Terry Kadar, retired Rogers School guidance counselor. May we please have a moment of silence in darkened chambers. Thank you. May they rest in peace. Unfinished business? None. Public participation? None. Motions? None. Subcommittees. Special Education Student Support Services Subcommittee report of the meeting of Tuesday, July 26, 2011. Jackie Doherty, Chair. Ms. Doherty?
Thank you, Your Honor. The Student Services Special Education Subcommittee did meet on Tuesday, July 26th. Present from the school committee were myself and subcommittee member Connie Martin, as well as school committee member Allison Larraba. From the school department, we had Superintendent Jean Franco, Assistant Superintendent Ann Murphy, Social Worker Arlene Delaluz, ELL District Support Specialist Sue Carmona, District Support Specialist Pat Murphy Punchad, and teacher Janet Kosa. We had a number of items that we discussed. The first one was our anti-bullying programs and what we have really put together across the district, an update of the implementation of the new district policy regarding anti-bullying, and which is in response to the new law that was passed last year on this issue. The focus in the coming year will be ensuring that the programs, the anti-bullying programs are implemented across the district with fidelity and consistency, and that they become an integral part of the school culture. So we did spend some time looking at the reported incidents of bullying and the subsequent investigations that are happening within our schools to really make sure that everybody's up to speed on the bully prevention programs. There was a motion by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Doherty, to accept the reporter's report of progress. The other things we discussed had to do with some changes in the Curriculum Instruction Assessment Alignment Project, which was a grant funded through the Early Childhood Development Department, And it focused on 3 project areas, working in partnership with teachers, social workers, and district support specialists. Those areas were social emotional learning standards, early childhood home visiting program, which was a piloted program that we did with staff at the Merkland, where we really looked at getting teachers into homes, meeting with families, and really encouraging parents to get involved with schools, as well as the Center for Social and Emotional Foundations of Early Learning. So we got an update on those projects and how they've been coming along. We also had Assistant Superintendent Murphy presented policy AFABC-R, admission of transfer students, which complies with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 12, Section 11, and the Acts of 2010. And this revision expands on the existing policy to specifically include Commonwealth Charter School students who transfer into the district. So we would recommend, there was a motion by Ms. Martin, seconded by myself, to accept this report as a report of progress and recommend to the full committee that we adopt policy JFABC-R and policy IMG. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to wait till the end of the report to do that, or we could do that right now.
We can do it right now. Make a motion by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Ms. Martin, to approve the adopted policy of JFABC-R and policy IMG. Roll call.
Mayor Milanazzo? Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larraba? Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
In fact,
5
that
yeas,
was
2
really,
absent.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Doherty.
That was really the bulk of the meeting, so it would just be a report of progress.
A
on
motion
that.
for report of progress from Ms. Doherty, seconded by Ms. Martin. All those in favor? Aye. Oh, Ms. Martin, I'm sorry.
That's okay, thank you. I just wanted to, just a couple quick points on the meeting, because it really, Ms. Doherty ran an exceptionally good meeting. There was great, a lot of great information that had come out as a result of it. Just a few quick points. Talking about the anti-bullying programs, I think gave us a real sense of the different ways that they're being implemented across the district. I think we have some schools that are really exceptional in the way they've really made these efforts and this curriculum and the programs really part of their everyday life, excuse me, in school community. Excuse me. And I think one of the things we discussed at the subcommittee meeting was really being able to use those standout performers as role models for some of our other schools who are kind of, a little further behind in terms of implementing this effectively. And I think that that was a great message to get from the administration, that they'd be looking to do that in the future. And I think really bodes well for the way we're going to see this implemented in the next year. The other thing that I did want to just kind of touch on was the success of the early childhood home visiting program. I think it's a program that's been in place for many years. To see this kind of data come out of it and the really profound impact that it's having on students and their families, I think tells us a great deal. Again, I think based on the success of this program and on the administration's response to that, we now have an opportunity where we're going to be able to see that extend upwards into elementary school, which I think is absolutely revolutionary. I think it's an extraordinary opportunity for the teachers who are interested in participating. There is going to be professional development support for that. And I think that when you think about the ways, the many ways that we work to get our parents involved in our schools and invested in our school community, it's hard to imagine anything that would be more effective than actually us going into their homes. And I think it's has really exciting potential for us. I'm really looking forward to having this as a regular report at Ms. Doherty's meetings, to see what our response is from teachers and to see what the impact really can be for the students that will be part of this kind of pilot exercise in our elementary schools. But it really, to see the staff talk about this in such an excited and engaged way, and for them to have seen such results and want to share it with their colleagues and with more and more students and families was just really encouraging. And it really was one of those great subcommittee meetings where you walked away with a lot of great information and a lot of really positive energy about what's going to be going on as we kick off our school year. Thank you.
Great, Ms. Martin, thank you. Motion seconded for report of progress. All those in favor? Ayes have it. The Curriculum Subcommittee meeting chaired by Ms. Martin of August 16th. Ms. Martin?
Thank you very much. We did have a meeting last night with the Curriculum and Instruction Subcommittee. Really only one topic on the agenda. We wanted to approve a research request that has come to the district. This is going to be a research project that will be led by the Boston University School of Public Health, working with Healthy Futures, which has been one of the health programs, the sex ed programs that we've been working with here in the Lowell Public Schools for quite some time now. I think it's great to have an institution of the, as impressive as BU that wants to be part of our district and investigate exactly what Healthy Futures is doing for us. They certainly are coming in, I think, with a strong sense that the program is working. The data that we have, even from the expansion last year, has been very positive, and I think this gives us an opportunity to have an objective take on exactly what's working, what we might want to improve. And I think that it gives the schools that will be participating an opportunity. They will get a stipend as a thanks from BU for their participation. And it really is going to be a true experiment where 4 of our middle schools will be participating in this study. And then our other 4 will be continuing with the traditional standards-based sex ed that will also be part of Healthy Futures. But there will be an opportunity to really compare and contrast a control group with a test group. So the subcommittee did vote to approve this and to recommend it to the full committee for approval.
Is that a form of motion from Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Doherty? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Milanazzo? Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larraba? Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
The ayes have it. The Finance Subcommittee meeting of August 16th related to the food service. I'm the chairman of it. Since I'm in the chair tonight, I'm going to ask Mr. Leahy to give the minutes of the meeting of August 16th. Mr. Leahy?
Thank you. Last night, the Finance Committee met and we discussed the update on the food services. So at the meeting was the chair, Mr. Leary, Ms. Martin, Ms. Doherty, myself, Superintendent Gene Franco, Assistant Superintendent Jay Lang. We had Tammy Capola from the Sullivan School, Sue Gannon from the Wang, Jay Gustatus, and Sharon Lagrassi from Aramark. Basically, the meeting we discussed, they brought us a year-end report, year-end review. We discussed their 3 main objectives to their plan: nutritional excellence, employee and community excellence, and operations excellence. So in the first part of the meeting, we discussed how they've made changes to the menu, bringing in more selections and making sure that the nutritional value is still high for the children, making sure that they have options that they like. Second part was about employee and community excellence, involving the employees in decision-making, listening to what they have to say, listening to their input, and really trying to get a team approach to the food service industry here in the school district. We discussed about how they had a few meetings last year, some roundtable events, if you will, where everybody had some input. They listened, they took their suggestions and implemented them as needed. The last part about operations excellence, they talked about how they're trying to make the kitchens run more efficiently. Big part of the discussion was the point of sale, trying to get the kids through the line faster and more efficiently. And that was something that we needed. We need to get the kids in and out so they can enjoy their lunch, get out to recess and back into the classroom. So overall, it was a good meeting. Lasted about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. And there's a lot of information in the packet. Anybody can get this. It's a lot of information to go over in a short summary of the meeting, but anybody who wants a copy can get one. And I think that was basically it. So Aramark had a good year. And one of the big things, excuse me, their year-end goal was to save $340,000 for the district. They ended up contributing back $360,163. So that was quite a difference from past years where we've had the deficit of several $100,000. So it was a good meeting, good start to the year to have Aramark in with our school system, and we look forward to working with them.
Thank you, Mr. Leahy. Ms. Doherty?
Thank you, Ron. I just want to add to what my colleague said. He's right. In terms of the savings, we got back $360,000, which was $20,000 over what they had promised us. And for those of us, and I believe everybody in the room remembers, it was just a short few years ago that we were in the whole $750,000 for this program. If I could just share some of what struck me at the meeting last night as someone who has kind of walked through that process with all of you as we looked at how can we give our kids, really good tasting, nutritious lunches and still, come within budget or make some money if possible. Clearly, it's a professional run organization. That year-end review really impressed me with its depth and how comprehensive it is, and that they've got a series of goals that really are spread out through a number of things, from training and developing our staff to continuing to provide good food for our kids. The other thing that really jumped out at me was how much the federal government is controlling what we're allowed to serve our children for lunch. I mean, all within the parameters of what's considered a healthy, nutritious meal. And one example that struck me was the issue of pasta. They can only serve whole wheat pasta now. And for those of you who know what whole wheat pasta, it's a very brown looking pasta, and many of our kids are not used to it. They don't like it, so there's a change involved in that. They're limited in the size of the lunches, the caloric content, the amount of sodium and fat. These are all regulated by the federal government. So working within those parameters. The other thing that really jumped out at me was how much our staff, our cooks and our kitchen staff have stepped up to the plate. They have more than anyone else in the district have gone through a huge transition with this change, with having Aramark come in. I believe it was a year ago in July that they came in, and the managers there last night made a point several times of saying we would not be looking at the savings we're looking at from last year if it was not for the cooperation of our cook managers and our kitchen staff in our schools, working with the changes that they've been confronted with the changes in hours, all those factors, and still, there every day for our kids, preparing the best meals they can. The other thing as we go forward that I'm encouraged by is, as my colleague mentioned, these roundtable discussions with our staff, and looking at ways of improving the quality of the food, that some of the things we used to do in the past, like preparing these homemade turkey dinners, actually cooking the chicken and peeling the potatoes, that we want to try to get back to that as much as possible, and that we're looking at it as we should be doing and are doing for many things from a data-driven perspective, like what is selling, what are our kids choosing to eat, and how do we really take advantage of economies of scales and have consistency across the district. So I thought it was very positive. I feel like we've made huge strides in this area, and I just want to publicly thank all the people that had a role, our cook managers and our staff in our kitchens. They're doing hard work for our kids, and I mean, it really comes down to, are they getting a good meal is really going to impact their ability to do well in school. So it's directly related to their performance in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Doherty. Ms. Martin?
Thank you very much. Just again, a couple quick points, because I do think it really was a very, there was a great deal of information that was shared. Aramark certainly came prepared to really, I think, answer all of our questions, and it was great to kind of have them right there in the room, and that they were available to us to ask all of our questions. I think I share my colleague's opinion that it really, successes that we've seen in this year. Certainly, we owe a great debt to Aramac. They've done, I think, an exceptionally good job. And the reality is they could never have been successful if they did not have a staff that was open and willing to consider new things. So I think we all appreciate that very much, that really the success, that's where it really came from. Couple quick things, things that are being implemented for this year that I think are really encouraging. The opportunity to do online applications for our free and reduced lunch program, I think is a great new service. The ability that parents are going to have in this school year to be able to basically have online access to their child's account so that they can put money in, they can track what's being spent, they can get alerts when money's getting low. I think that that's a real service for our parents and will make it helps the point of sale if there's not money being passed, being exchanged, if it's just going through a card. I think that can really hopefully save us some time during that critical 20 minutes, 25 minutes for lunch. I think another thing I was particularly encouraged by was Aramac's willingness to hear ideas for the future. Certainly I think we all brought up quality issues. We're all committed to making sure that the highest quality food and most nutritious meals are being served to our students. I think their willingness to talk in the future about investigating some kind of locavore farm-to-school programs, I found very encouraging, and I certainly will be following up on, because I think that could be a great partnership with some of our local farmers, and also their willingness to discuss introducing perhaps some more ethnic foods into our offerings. Obviously, we're a city that can boast of many different ethnic groups, and I think if we could see that reflected in some of the meals in our cafeterias, I think that would be a really positive thing. So I think it was a really encouraging meeting. Their openness to continually improving was very encouraging, and I think that their efforts to this point, both from the Aramac management side and from our cook managers and our kitchen staff, has really been a very impressive thing. And to be able to look at this program and say $360,000 is coming back into our district to be spent towards educational purposes is a pretty remarkable achievement in this year. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Anyone else? Just quickly, kudos go to the administration. I think Mr. Lang and Mr. Dakota. This year we actually had a facilitator from UMass Lowell come in and actually sit down with our staff and go over the food service program for the past year, looking at the positives and the negatives. And I don't recall the individual's name from UMass Lowell, Mr. Lang, but this individual did a good job with our staff. I appreciate, we had about 30 people from our food service staff came in the summertime, sat down and spent, about 4 or 5 hours going over what they liked about the program, what they didn't like about the program, and more importantly, they provided, steps or solutions that Aramark actually answered and started to make actual changes as we were sitting in that meeting. And I don't want to belabor the point because it was a 2.5-hour meeting. Technology, again, Mr. Lang, Mr. Dakota, and all the MIS staff, we're interlinking X2 with the technology for the food service. Is going to be amazing, challenge at the beginning of the year, but I think it's something that is going to be good for the services for the students and will also help our staff going forward. So I take that as a motion for report of progress from Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Doherty. All in favor? Ayes? Thank you very much. The school opening report, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Leary. I've provided the committee with the action steps I've taken to introduce myself to the community as the new superintendent. And so to date, I have sent a letter to all families, translated into 4 languages, inviting them to the meet and greet on before our next school committee meeting from 5 to 6:30 at the Lowell High Auditorium. I welcome everybody to come and meet our administrative team, me and my administrative team and our school committee team. We would love to meet as many of the public as who wish to attend. I also sent a Connect Ed message to staff because I wrote a letter of introduction. I've been in the school system for 15 years. However, I have never been the superintendent of schools, so I did write a letter of introduction. There are copies of all of these documents are in fact included, and I believe I emailed you these in the past. But I did do a Connect Ed phone call because not everybody checks their email during the summer, so I wanted to make sure that they read this particular welcome letter, and the message talks about us as a team to do the work for the good of all our children. I'm just informing you all that summer leadership has been ongoing this week. Today was day 2. Tomorrow is the last day. All are welcome to attend. We have reviewed goals of the district, looking at this perspective from the Merkland School planning and Common Core standards. This morning I reviewed the educator evaluation process framework in a general way for administrators. So that's the work. And then this afternoon, Mr. Lang presented about the technology study and other important issues that we're working on as a district. So it's been quite, I think we've done very well this week. As a matter of fact, my mentor, who you will all meet, Jim Marini, was quite impressed with our staff. He asked me if we really liked each other that much, and of course he's my mentor, so I said yes, but it actually went very well. Tomorrow at the Colleen Cregan television studio, I'm going to tape first day of school message. I think it's incredibly important for a message to be clear to all staff. I can tell my administrative staff a number of things, but I speak another language, so I know about interpretation and translation, and so your word always is delivered in a different way. So there'll be an opening message to all staff, and I believe that every time we have release day, there will be some kind of opening message, quite like we've done in the past. So those are my first moves in trying to introduce myself to our entire city. So it's been very, very interesting, and I've enjoyed the first few days. So I just wanted to keep you abreast of what was going on.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Mr. Conway?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to very briefly say that I congratulate the superintendent on this agenda, because I took a look at it, and it has been well thought out. And I've seen a lot of agendas, and I have to admit this is excellent. There's been a couple of things that have been pointed out to me, and actually in a positive way. I've had a little bit of feedback from parents, and what they pointed out was the whole idea of meeting down at the high school at the auditorium, this meet and greet, which they found that to be very interesting and very encouraging. And it was, I think we all know that parental involvement is paramount to the success of the schools, and we certainly need them as a strong partner, and I certainly congratulate you and your staff for reaching out to the parents. The other point that stood out too, and I've had a couple of staff members mention it to me, and once again, they're not shy. They point things right out. And in that second paragraph, when you talk about that, I believe in you, meaning the staff member, that meant a lot to a teacher, and they certainly did appreciate that. And also from the fact that I think that they feel that they're going to be part of a solution too. So I congratulate you on this first step, this first introduction, you and your staff, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Reports to the Superintendent, hiring, staffing, and the status update. Madam Superintendent?
Yes. Normally at this time of the year, superintendent does request information on how the hiring is going. So I did request a report from Michael Cassidy, the Director of Human Resources, where he keeps us informed of how, in fact, we're doing as far as opening day being in about a week away. And so our teaching positions are filling up quite nicely. We have found that the hard-to-fill position is ELL, and so, and I think that is intensified because our content literacy positions did come with a reading certification and an ESL certification, because we're building the language behind the content through those particular positions. So I have been working with Mr. Cassidy closely, and additionally with principals, where they do have very well-versed teachers who have experience in teaching science and whatnot, to in fact take those positions, and I feel very confident in how it's going, but I do know that special education, which is normally hard to fill, is not the issue this year. It is, in fact, English as a second language, so ELL. So we're working on that. And as you recall, the committee did approve for the expansion of our newcomer program. So we have asked for a few extra ESL certified positions this particular year. So that's where we stand on the teaching positions. Paraprofessional positions are filling quite nicely. Mr. Cassidy is extremely confident that we'll be up and running. I believe there are only just a couple of positions in that particular area. The last bullet that he reported to me was the administrative positions. Since this was written last Friday, we have filled the Moody and Washington school positions. As I had informed the school committee, Mrs. Roberta Keith is now the interim principal at the Moody, and Mrs. Cheryl Cunningham is the interim principal at the Washington. And I'd like to explain, and I wrote this in a letter to both parents, which is going out today, and to staff last Friday, that I held the position as interim positions because of the timeline, and we were planning, we had leadership this week. That's principals and assistant principals and all our K-12 people. I would never go forward for a permanent position without including parents and teachers in the interview process. And so the decision on my part to go with the interim position is because as a mom and as a teacher, I would want a school community to have input, and so that's why it proceeded in that way. In essence, next spring, we will do these searches early, and may in fact come out with the exact same results, but that's why it was done. That was my rationale behind it. I'd like to explain that. And our staff, wonderful people, were more than willing. Before we interviewed, we told people of that change, and only one person of the finalists pulled their application upon that announcement. So that's my rationale. I just want to be clear with everybody on that particular position.
Mr. Leahy? Sorry.
Thank you. Madam Superintendent, at the budget, we had talked about some staffing issues with the middle school schools to provide equity. During the budget, we made some adjustments for the elementary, and we were going to make adjustments for the middle school positions, which we hadn't got to in the budget. So could you update us on what's happening with those positions in the middle school?
Madam
Yeah.
Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Leary. Yes, the recommendation for the budget was that we would equalize the staffing in middle schools, and there was a disparity in a number of cases, and that proposal went forward. But in our budget hearings, we did in fact place all of those positions into the suspense account. As we look forward, I would recommend that we fund 5 positions to at least bring all of our middle schools to equal status. Those positions I would recommend would be 2 positions at the Sullivan School, because equity-wise, they are 2 positions understaffed at a minimum. The Pine Arts would be 1 position. Bartlett Community Partnership also is understaffed, and the Wayne School would need 1 position for them all to come up to the status of 35 positions, which was the recommended minimum number. There are schools that in fact may have a little bit more, but at this particular point, because school is upon us, I would recommend those 5 positions. If the committee feels prepared to move that money from the suspense account for us to be able to equalize those particular middle schools in a way that's equitable.
Okay. Because I wanted to make sure that we finished our business with that. So after discussion, I'd like to bring that up again. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Conway, then Ms. Doherty?
And just very quickly, do you, with these 5 positions, and you feel that there would be equity across that, the middle school level, is that correct?
Madam Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Leary. I feel that at this particular time, as we refer in special education, it's the least restrictive. It would be the way that this proposal was designed with the goal that each child, each school would be able to provide the core curriculum, plus the intervention that we provide in mathematics and literacy, or enrichment, at the schools. And so when Mr. Schlickman provided the report of status of data for Dr. Scott at the time, he told us the minimum number. I am trying to get the schools at this point, because we are still in the midst of settling the suspense account, to get to the minimum number to be able to provide that particular equity. There are schools that have larger numbers, I'm sorry, Mr. Conway, that have more staff, Robinson and Stocklosa being two of them. But I wanted to make sure that all the schools had at least that minimum number, and now that equity, that's the minimum. So if we could go beyond that, that remains to be seen, but I just thought for scheduling purposes, for children to get the needed curricula in the specials, we know that at the Sullivan School, there has been a problem with, they have done amazing work trying to get kids a little bit of everything, but it should never matter what side of town you're studying at, what school you're at. It should matter what you have for a program. And this is just to make it as even as we possibly can without going past that number. This will equalize the offerings for what we say is core curriculum.
Right. Thank you for clarifying that.
Ms. Doherty?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd just like to say, when that proposal came before us during budget season, my problem with it was taking from other schools. I'd like to see all the schools have the staffing level that the Robinson and the Stocklosa has. We've seen great progress at the Stocklosa. The Robinson has also been working in that direction and needs to continue to do so. So your recommendation to get and I'm really latching on that minimal, to make sure that every school, these schools in particular, the Sullivan, the Pine, the Bartlett, and the Wayne, have the minimal requirements to provide the scheduling flexibility, so that the students are getting the core subjects they need, and especially what we've seen in terms of our math growth, which I think part of that has been this model of enrichment, intervention, looking at kids, figuring out where they are, where they need to go next, and providing the supports to do that. We have to have the staffing in all our schools to make that happen. So I'm very much in favor of supporting this recommendation, and I would actually make a motion that we provide the necessary, I guess we have to transfer whatever amount of money or give permission to post those openings and begin the process of getting people in as soon as possible.
Ms. Doherty has a motion, I guess to
Do we
Mr.
need
Lane.
a certain number? I don't know.
Well, just to clarify Madam Superintendent, could you give your recommendation specifically what you're looking for?
Yes, I propose to add 2 positions to the Sullivan School, 1 position to the Pine Arts School, 1 position to the Bartlett Community Partnership School, 1 position to the Wang School. The total cost for the 5 positions would be $232,000, $105, excuse me. And so I would request of the school committee to take the money from the suspense account, transfer it to enable us to post and fill these positions for the beginning of school.
So just to clarify, how many per position?
It's $46,421, according to my source.
So, Mr. Lane, I guess the total is,
Is that right?
Yeah, 5 positions at 46,421 would be 232,105.
232,105?
Yeah, 105, not 500.
I'm sorry, thank you.
I just want, you have a motion, you want to clear, so what's, go ahead,
Okay,
Ms.
so
Doherty,
the
I'm sorry.
motion is to transfer $232,105 out of the suspense account and to fund and post for 5 middle school positions.
Teaching positions?
Yes, and I don't know if you want to spell out that there would be 2 for the Sullivan, 1 for the Pine,
No, you want to put that in
1 for
frame
the
of a motion?
Bartlett.
Okay, so the frame of the motion would be, you're requesting the school committee transfer $232,105 for 5 positions, 2 at the Sullivan Middle School, 1 at the Pine Pine K through 8, 1 at the Bartlett K through 8, and 1 at the Wang Middle School? Is it Mr. Leahy, second? Discussion? A quick question, I guess, this is 232,105. If we have, I was at 2.5 million in the suspense account, how much would we, is that an accurate number, or is there?
Yeah, in the suspense account, after the July meeting, when we allocated some additional positions for the ELL program, we have a balance of 2.49 million, so just under 2.5 million. So this would bring us to about 2,250,000, right around there.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Mr. Leahy?
Yeah, I just wanted to stress that this is something that we tabled, and we desperately needed to do this to bring some equity across the board. As the superintendent said, you know, the Sullivan School, the Bartlett, the Pine Arts, the Wang, I mean, the staff did amazing things with what they had to work with last year. So this is just going to make the school year go that much better for staff. It's going to be a much better year for the students. So I'm glad that, you know, we didn't forget this, and we needed to bring this in for the start of the school year. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Motion seconded. Roll call, please.
Mayor Milonazo, Mr. Conway,
Yes.
Ms. Doherty,
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee, Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Okay.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
5 yeas, 2 absent. Motion by Ms. Martin, Madam Superintendent, I'm not sure you finished, or on the hiring and staffing status update? Okay. Motion by Ms. Martin and seconded by Mr. Conway for report of progress. All those in favor, say aye. We need to go back to the school opening report. I need a motion from Ms. Martin for a motion to report of progress, second by Ms. Doherty. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Lee.
Just for the record, was that under the, instead of school opening, that was under?
That was under, I'm
Personnel
sorry, that was
office.
under hiring, staffing, status update. What we didn't do is we didn't do a vote on report of progress for the school opening. My
Oh, okay.
rookie mistake. Thanks for pointing that out second time.
Forgive you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Lee. Kindergarten assignment enrollment. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Leary. It's also the time of year when you check and see how your numbers are filling. And I checked in with Mr. Dakota in the middle of last week, and he expressed a great deal of concern over our kindergarten numbers. Kindergarten numbers at this particular point, and that's before our last week rush, are running very high. And John Dakota is in the process of equalizing the numbers as much as he possibly can, but I found the numbers on August 17th to be extremely high, and I wanted to bring it to the attention of the committee. At this particular point, I'm monitoring, and I do not have a definite plan of where we could expand or house, but I wanted to make you aware of this particular issue, and we will see. Of course, as the first day comes, not all children show up for the first day, and there is transition in summertime, but I did feel that these numbers were at a high level for that very needy instructional level, and I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Mr. Conway?
Yeah, just a quick question through you, Mr. Chairman, to the superintendent. How would you compare these numbers with last year's numbers at this time? Were they a lot lower, or are we seeing a trend that we're going to have to really do some serious planning in the future for this?
Thank you, Mr. Conway. The numbers have been impacted at this particular level because of the charter school program, which did close the younger grades at this particular point. However, these numbers are very high for any younger elementary grade. And when I asked Mr. Dakota, he said, it just seems that everybody who's coming into the system new are 5. And so that's an issue. It's a serious issue. He said there are so many kindergartners that he did not anticipate. And enrollment-wise, when you do your projections, it just happens to be that we're receiving these young children. So it was something that we did not expect, Mr. Conway, but to be at this particular level with such young children, I mean, we really try to keep kindergarten level under 22, or we have in the last years. 22, 25 maximum, because it is such a needy, but we would love our numbers to be 22. Although we do enjoy paraprofessionals in kindergarten as a district, still instructionally this is challenging, and so I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Just two other quick questions. From this point on, do you see that, is there a trend of additional students that would come in, change these numbers, or would they be perhaps a decrease over the next week or two? Is there some type of a trend that we can kind of count on? Because I know that sometimes what happens, I know at the high school level, you would come in with a certain number and you knew that you were going to have an additional 200 or 300 students. It was something that just took place every year. Are there any statistics that would back this up one way or another that you might know of?
Superintendent, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Leary. Sincerely, this appears to be an anomaly, and that's why I'm letting you all know, because we look at census data. We look at what in fact is happening. The Lowell Public Schools is closely connected to all of the agencies who work with young children in preschool programs. So this, in fact, and this is why Mr. Dakota came to report to me, because he's saying we're seeing an extraordinarily high number of kindergarten-age children. And we're the public school system, of course, and we will educate all children, but we did not anticipate this high range of students, Mr. Conway, and so that's
I mean, it's such a critical age, obviously. We know that we have to get them at that age. Just one other quick question, and looking at surrounding towns and cities, what might be the average for a kindergarten class numbers? Do you have any idea on something like that? I know this is kind of difficult off the top here, but I'm just trying to make a comparison of what we're faced with in comparison to what our surrounding towns have.
Mr. Conway, ethically and instructionally, 20 to 25, 25 is high, is a fair number with young children. And that's because we do have the extra hands with the paraprofessional. That's large numbers. So anything over that, even 25, we always had a system when we had really great budget years that it was a cutoff of no more than 22 in K through 2, and then it would go 24 in 3 and 4, and in middle school we tried to keep it to 25. We did have kind of a range to equalize the enrollment. So that's why this is really an anomaly, and it's not something that we foresaw.
I thank you for your information.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Mr. Leahy?
Thank you. What I wanted to add to the report was I'm glad that you shared the numbers with us, because when I saw the 28s and the 26s, over the last 6 or 7 years, we have tried to keep the numbers at 22 in the early grades. So, we need to keep an eye on this. We always kept the numbers at 22 since I've been here, and now they're creeping up. And as you said, with the charter schools and the new growth in the city, and that's why, I've always felt that when I said we should be in contact with the city planning and development. I mean, we should be working together when we have an influx of families coming into the city and the groups of people. They're going to have children, and children are going to come into the schools. So now we're seeing the trend. As the population goes up, we see the kids come into the school. So we need to work more closely with the city to keep an eye on our numbers. And I hope that you'll come back to us, you know, if we need to put another para in these classrooms. We just need to make sure that these kids have a good year. So, you know, what we need to do what we need to do at the start of the school year. So we're gonna have some savings over the year. I know we don't wanna run tight on our budget, but my suggestion would be, you know, that we keep an eye on it. And if you feel like you need to come to us to add a para, we're gonna have to, because 28 is a lot of children in a classroom. Thank you.
Madam Superintendent?
Yes, Mr. Leahy, I propose that through Mr. Dakota's office, that we keep you aware of the numbers on a regular basis, so you'll know every Friday how the numbers are growing. I did talk to Mr. Dakota and just ask if we thought there'd be any space if we in fact had to extend programs and whatnot, and so I will check again with Mr. Dakota about the thought process, because I asked him to go and see if there's any empty rooms where you don't have a lot of space as a school system. But if in fact there is a proposal that we have, it's predominantly higher in, I think, the west side. One zone is much higher than the other because one of our zones does have many more children than the other, and that's been the history. But I will keep you very well informed of how the numbers are growing, and I will bring it to your attention as we go, because this is something we have to keep a close eye at. I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Leahy. Madam Superintendent, Ms. Martin?
Thank you. Just one, you know, kind of additional point. I think that, as Mr. Leahy had said, looking at 22 as our kind of baseline number, you know, the fact is even that was a stretch. I mean, we've seen, you know, during the years of classroom size reduction, teachers, all of the studies were telling you that really 18 was the magic number for younger kids, and that, again, kindergarten, first, second, that even just a reduction of 4, so that you went from that 22 standard down to 18, had a huge impact on the students sitting in those classrooms. I do think that the getting para support can make a huge difference, again, particularly in the younger grades. And I also think that we do need to be prepared to see where we may be able to create some new classrooms. It's an interesting anomaly, if only because as this is being presented, I assume that that's not something we're seeing throughout the district. So it's odd that 1 year, I mean, if we were seeing a big influx of, and we are, certainly, of a number of new residents here in the city, they're not all coming with 5-year-olds. So we should be seeing these same kind of bumps across, you know, all age ranges. So it's a curious thing. It'll be interesting as we move forward and we see the actual, you know, census, when we see the actual kids in the seats, to see if that really bears out or if there's something else maybe going on with the data. But I do appreciate the heads up. I think that's always a great idea for the committee to be made aware of kind of issues before they explode. So I appreciate the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Madam Superintendent? Is that a report of? Just quickly, I just thank you for the report. I appreciate the numbers, and I agree with Mr. Leahy that if we need to look at spending money for paraprofessionals, that's something we should be doing probably in the month of September if it needs to do it. It might be a one-time cost with some other, you know, the charter school coming on next year. It might not be, but I appreciate the information. Thank you. Motion made by Ms. Doherty, second by Mr. Leahy for a report of progress for the kindergarten assignment enrollment. All those in favor? Ayes have it. TV studio broadcasting Rogers School. Madam Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Leary. I'm in receipt of a report by Assistant Superintendent Jay Lang, who talks about the information that was requested over time about starting a studio, a TV studio, to tape our subcommittee meetings and professional development offerings at central office. Mr. Lang estimates in his report that the cost would be $35,000 to convert and retrofit a training room at the Rogers School, and that's the amount. the second report that's attached is the original report that tells you the details of what, in fact, the equipment would entail. And so it talks about the timeline, the project cost. That's a report from Mr. Penard to Mr. Lang. So these are in answer to the motions that were presented by Mr. Leahy and Ms. Larraba in both February and March that asks us to look at the cost. This is just to outfit the training room. I do not know about how much it costs for the actual taping and what it would be for the personnel to cover that. I don't know if Mr. Lang has a figure on that, and I don't want to put him on the spot. I don't see it in the report, but I'm going to take a chance and ask him. So, Mr. Lang?
Mr. Lang?
Thank you. As far as the studio goes, this would allow us to outfit with the bigger training room at central office so that you could broadcast live meetings or tape meetings there. The setup of the studio and working with Mr. Penard was so that you could have one, like we have here at the council chamber, one person running all the controls. The cameras would be fixed or on a remote control. The issue with doing a lot of the taping right now at the high schools, you need to have a number of people, someone at the control panel, someone at the individual cameras, and we wanted to try to make it just a one-person show. So while it doesn't actually outlay a cost, we know that there would be a cost associated probably with having one person come in. It could be an hourly rate, a fee rate. Mr. Penard did say there's always a handful of students who might want to do it as like an internship type thing from the high school. And having just one person have to do a meeting isn't as hard as getting 4 or 5 together. So there may be some outgoing costs in the long run, but I do think if the committee wants to have a dedicated space to be able to tape meetings, I wasn't thinking a lot about the other educational opportunities when we were doing this, but Mr. Penard did cite, this is an excellent second kind of studio that our K-8 schools could take advantage of during the school day because it wouldn't be in heavy use by central office at that time. Our meetings would probably be more at night, but middle schools, either during the school day or part of before and after school programs, could book time, could come in and use the studio. It could be a community resource also if someone wanted to do something during the day when it wasn't being used. He cited a bunch of those possibilities. So I do think it's a good recommendation. As far as physical cost of equipment goes, it's about $35,000. We could utilize the funds from the Comcast grant that comes to us every year to maintain that. And I do think if the committee approved it tonight, we could probably be up and running sometime between Columbus Day and Thanksgiving would be the window we'd be looking at to be able to broadcast out of that studio.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Ms. Doherty?
Thank you, Your Honor, and I'd like to say right up front, I fully support this. This seems like short money for the benefits we would get, not only in terms of the communication to our community, being able to have access to our subcommittee meetings, but the potential to use it for professional development of our staff. However, and this is in no way a slight to Mr. Lang, I don't think this is his area of expertise. The piece that ties into the educational program at Lowell High School has to be here. I've been saying, I don't know for how many years, and I know my colleagues have echoed that concern, that the Communications Academy is underutilized at the high school. We don't have enough of our students. We've got, what, a $25 million TV studio over there, and you've got an academy of less than 100 students. It's crazy. And I know that in the past years, the staffing has been reduced. The number of courses being offered in terms of television production, those kinds of, really classes that would utilize the facility at the high school and even be able to take part in what we would then have at the Rogers School, those classes have been reduced. So I'm really looking, and I don't expect this to happen overnight, but I think, I'm fully on board with authorizing spending $35,000 to get this facility up and going. But we also need to be putting the time and effort and looking at how do we grow the Communications Academy. We have an opportunity. We've got the facility there, and you look at video blogging, just the way the world runs now and how our students are, and the opportunity for them to get hands-on experience, as Mr. Lang mentioned, whether it's an internship or part of their coursework in communications at the Communications Academy. really need to be out in front of this. We've not taken advantage and really capitalized on that TV studio and what we could do with it. So I'd be looking for some recommendations, and I think it would make sense to come through the Lowell High Subcommittee if you want to do a joint, I don't know, Lowell High curriculum, finance, I don't care, but I really think that, you know, while one hand is moving forward with this production facility, we need to really be looking at the bigger picture and how we can capitalize on the educational opportunities, the equipment we already have invested quite heavily in, and our students. I just really want to make that plea. But I am in support of moving forward with this tonight, and I am ready to vote on that. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Martin, I guess just a quick... Ms. Martin really agrees with you, Ms. Torrey. A case in point, too, though, also the technology consultants, part of what they'll be looking at, not the only part, but part of it will involve communications. And I think it's an excellent idea that Lowell High School wraps that up in their discussions in the fall as we go forward with our technology planning and how much investment we have.
Should I just make a motion then that we move forward to
Absolutely.
take $35,000 out of the suspense account and put it toward the refurbishing and retrofitting of the training room at the Rogers School to create a remote television facility there? I would
Okay.
make that as form of a
Form of a
motion.
motion, is there a second? Ms. Martin, roll call. Pardon me, Mr. Lang?
Just right, it's not the suspense account, it's the Comcast account.
That's good.
That's okay.
So just if you make change.
Amend it to those words.
Second by Ms. Martin, roll call.
Mayor Milanazzo? Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee? Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
All right, Madam Superintendent, I take that as a motion of progress by Mr. Leahy, second by Ms. Martin. All in favor? The ayes have it. The last, but certainly not the least, is the CELT study update. This is our technology consultant, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, today at Leadership, the CELT consultants presented to our leadership group about the goals and objectives of the study. They also informed our leaders how they would be present in our buildings. They would be conducting interviews, focus groups, would be looking at our planning, our strategic planning over time to see, in fact, what place technology has in our district. It appears to be a very comprehensive study. There was a lot of enthusiasm on the part of our leaders as they look forward. The CELT technology consultants were very instrumental in talking about new technologies that school systems really don't always utilize because technology changes so incredibly rapidly. And the beginning feel that we all felt as leaders was that it was a very it's going to be a very complete study that is going to be provided by very knowledgeable consultants, and we will continue the focus groups. As a matter of fact, there is a chart that they will be speaking to all of us, including the school committee, on our impressions and needs, and generally, I really did get a good feeling about their expertise for this kind of study, and it was just the first time we had met them. So I would like to consult with Mr. Lang if there's anything further to add, since he's most actively involved with the procedure and the process.
Okay. Any questions or any comments? I asked the superintendent to put this on the agenda for all of our meetings going forward because in the next few months we'll be looking at taking monies to spend on technology. And I think a lot of like the high school in terms of the communications, as well as looking at the elementary, middle school in terms of smartboard technology, et cetera. This is something we want to get an update on as our staff becomes involved and renders their opinions as to what they feel is important with tying in our curriculum goals. They make this as a motion, a report of progress for Mr. Conway, second by Ms. Martin. All those in favor? Ayes have it. New business, City of Lowell Capital Plan 2011 School Projects. Madam Superintendent. Excuse me, Madam Superintendent. Mr. Leahy?
I'm sorry, I just didn't know if you got the updated agenda, because
Whoops, I'm sorry.
there's two other things on there, just the approval of the personnel report and the list of eligible teachers.
Oops, I'm sorry, I don't have that.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Whoops. I do have it. Under new business, excuse me, under the reports of the superintendent, the personnel report, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, Mr. Leahy, these are the monthly reports that are provided. The personnel report is as current as today with the hires and resignations. And if you, and the list of eligible teachers is the list that you receive every month.
Okay, because the motion report, Mr. Leahy, I'm sorry.
I was gonna make a motion that we accept both reports, but I did want to comment that I noticed, and I'm sure Mr. Conway would be very happy with this, there's a lot of Lowell addresses on the new hires, so good for the
Retire, of the new people or retirees?
No, hires.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I make that as a, Mr. Leahy, as a motion of report of progress for the personnel report and the list of eligible teachers, seconded by Mr. Conway. All those in favor? Ayes have it. Now, new business. The City of Lowell Capital Plan 2011 School Projects. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Leary. We are in a receipt of a report from Mr. Jay Lang, who had received a communication from Assistant Manager, Chief Financial Officer Tom Moses, talking about the 2011 capital projects that have been approved. There are 4 capital projects under the loan that Mr. Moses is referring to. There is a project of replacement of the rooftop at the Bailey Elementary and the Butler Middle Schools. There is a project of replacement of windows at the LeBlanc Therapeutic Day School. At Lowell High School, there is a replacement of interior and exterior doors. And at other school locations, there is solar-powered crossing lights. So we thank the city for this information. We thank the whole process for the benefiting our schools. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay, Madam Superintendent. So I guess with to see if the Chief Financial Officer is looking for, is it separate votes for the Bailey Elementary, LeBlanc, and Lowell? Or are we looking for one solid vote? And if we are, what's the total?
One vote's fine. The bond council is just looking for the school committee to weigh in and say, yes, they do approve of these projects happening because they're happening within school buildings.
Okay. Mr. Leahy?
Thank you. I appreciate any time that the city, bonds money to do these projects, but I did want to add my 2 cents that I think that, again, I just wish there was more communication between our Mr. Curley, our facilities operations person, and the city, because again, I just think that there's other pressing matters. We've been trying to get the stairs and the treads and some flooring done at the high school for a number of years. When I look at the list, I mean, obviously we want to do the rooftop chillers. I question why we're going to do power solar crossing lights when stairs and carpets and tile, are more important in my mind. The high school, we have some interior exterior doors. I guess that's important, but I guess, my main point is we need to have a good, open, honest discussion. I emailed Mr. Moses on this. There's more pressing matters that need to get fixed, and it's good, good that we're getting this done, but, I just think there's other issues that need to be addressed, more than solar-powered lights, and even maybe some of the doors or the replacement windows. Would the replacement windows, Mr. Lang, if I could ask him a question, wouldn't that be under Amoresco project, or is this a separate project?
Mr. Lang?
Thank you. This would be a separate project. Some of the energy efficiency ones, like the window replacement at the LeBlanc and I know pieces of the high school roof, not roof, the exterior door replacements, and I'm going to assume the solar power, I don't know firsthand, but probably came as part of the city's energy audit that they had done a few years back when they were getting ready to undertake the Amoresco project, because they're all tied to energy savings. The Amoresco project could actually only fund, because there was a cap, they could only fund so many projects with the amount of money available. Department of Public Works, in reviewing that list, prioritized other areas where they felt that even though Amoresco couldn't make the investment, the city should make the investment because it would be worth money or worth the savings in the long run around utility costs and energy directly. So that's why I believe they forwarded these projects on for.
Well, I can appreciate that, but, I mean, I got a whole list in my head: rooftops, plumbing issues, floor issues, painting issues, window issues, so I don't want to be negative on this whole thing, but we really need to sit down and talk with them and come up with a more accurate, updated list on what needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Ms. Doherty?
Thank you, Your Honor. Actually, that was my question to Mr. Lang about the Amoresco account and if this was tied into that, because I think we all support the city's efforts to be more energy efficient, to save money by having, energy savings that, directly impact our footprint on the environment. But on the other hand, I hear my colleagues' frustration with what are really some, I would consider, safety priority issues, like the stair tread wells at the high school. And I would go forward and support this tonight. I think that we do want to get whatever capital improvements we can and, support the city's energy audit and how they're moving in that direction. On the same hand, I think we should prepare a document and perhaps call a facility subcommittee with the city. We did that before, and we had a positive response when we got together in a room and talked about some of the concerns we had. I think that was specifically geared to the high school, and come up with our top priority concerns. What are the top 10 that we think we absolutely have to get the city's attention on? So, my response to this is let's move forward, let's approve these projects, and then let's prepare our own documentation in terms of what we see are the key areas. And I again go back to the issue of safety in terms of what needs to be happening for repair in our schools, and kind of take a two-prong approach with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Doherty. Mr. Conway, then Mr. Leahy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my colleagues, and again, there's a tremendous amount of frustration. I think it certainly shows the importance of school committee people going around to the different schools and having that opportunity to go into the schools and to take a tour of them. I think it's extremely important. I think all principals obviously would want the school committee in there to take a look and find out how can we help out, where are the problems. And again, the frustration from my colleagues, and I certainly concur with them, it took forever to start changing windows at the Riley School. It was atrocious. I could not believe it. And sometimes when you drive by a school, you don't really see the problems. And as somebody has pointed out to me, they said, did you ever, get out of the car, stop the car, get out of the car, and start walking around the school and taking a look at it? And that's what I did, and I couldn't believe it. And I'm going to use the Riley School as an example because I live up in that area and I drive by the school all the time. And sometimes you just don't notice certain things until all of a sudden you get out and you start looking around. The rust, it was an absolute mess. The windows were terrible. The doors were terrible. That overhang was horrendous. And if you take a look at the high school, and my colleagues, I think Mr. Leahy and Ms. Doherty pointed about the safety issues, about the treads on the floors and the steps. That's a safety problem. There's no doubt about it. And each year, since I can remember, we have a heating problem. Now, I don't know how many schools we have a heating problem, but we're going to have a heating problem once again at the high school. And they're going to say the same thing. well, we don't have the parts, it's an antiquated system, it's this, it's that. Well, I think anybody in here, if we were paying rent, would we accept that from our landlord? Absolutely not. We cannot have staff and students working in a school that has 40 degrees, 42 degrees. That's silly. As one person said to me, which I was absolutely astounded at, one administrator said, well, let them put hats on and gloves and jackets. That's unacceptable. And I think we have to take a look at that, and as my colleague just said here, maybe we should have another meeting and facilities and sit down and talk to the city officials to say, hey, listen, these are some of the things that we need to get fixed. These are the necessities of our school. This is the safety of our school. And I think that our staff and our students and the citizens of the city deserve better. Thank you.
Mr. Leahy, then Ms. Martin.
Thank you. I just wanted to make one more mention that I believe it was June, we had the subcommittee meeting, which we requested a meeting, which we still haven't had. So, as soon as we could get a date, if we could look back at that, Madam Superintendent, and who we requested the meeting with, which city officials, we could find out the status of that meeting again, so we can try to have that. Thank you.
Ms. Martin.
Thank you very much. Just a couple quick questions. On the Lowell High School, the door replacements, I know that during our budget hearings, we discussed the rekeying of all the doors at the high school. How do those two issues kind of intersect?
Madam Superintendent, we went through to Mr. Lang.
Thank you. The rekeying was put in the suspense account, so it's not a project we've moved forward with at this point. If they put new doors in, we would actually have them keyed to our keying. We have a keying convention, keying structure, so we would just have new locks put on when they put the new doors in. We wouldn't have to rekey, obviously, the exterior doors if that happened, and that's the primary there. We'd still need to rekey the interior doors at the high school, all the classroom doors, the corridor doors, those doors. That's the significant number. There's probably 20, 25 exterior doors that we wouldn't have to replace the lock sets there. They'd be replaced when the new doors went in.
Ms. Martin.
Thank you. My other question would be on the window replacements. And I guess it in a larger sense, the process where they came to these purchases, so we're thinking it kind of predates Amoresco? It was part of the...
It definitely predates Amoresco, and it definitely even predates some people on current staff. When the city was originally looking at putting together a 5 or 10-year capital plan, a number of years back, these were flagged as issues. I think when these issues, and again, to be honest, I wasn't involved. When these issues were flagged, that's when a next step would be to bring like an Amoresco in, because the city realized they couldn't afford to bond for that on their own at the time. So this definitely predates Amoresco, and it predates, even the thought process of using a performance contract to effectuate some of these changes in the schools. My only kind of concern around that is just, replacement windows have been proven, in terms of, ROI to just not be effective. I mean, they've been eliminated in most weatherization programs because they don't have the impact that you really expect them to. So DOE, I know, has changed all of the weatherization programs in the country that they can no longer use replacement windows as one of your kind of weatherization efforts. If this predates that, it may have been done before those determinations were kind of made. And I think, and it may be different in an industrial environment. I'm not sure. I'm familiar with residential, but given the scope of windows, maybe it is just the surface area, or it could actually save us some money. I'm not enough of an expert by any stretch to guess at that. But again, just in terms of our return on investment, some updated information might be helpful, just as they kind of make these criteria. Again, I think it's great that we're looking at any kind of investment, and
no one wants to look a gift horse in the mouth.
Right.
But I do think that we're all focused on making sure that we get the most out of any investments we're making in our physical plant, because it is so few and far between, that if we might be able to offer some different priorities, that could be helpful.
Just, I guess, through to Mr. Lang, what are the ramifications if we delay this and set up a facility subcommittee meeting to outline our priorities? Are there?
Well, two things. If I can just address Ms. Martin's concern on the windows. These, the window regs are certainly newer. The green repair program that we're utilizing through the SBA has incredibly stringent requirements on the rating of the new windows. These aren't like replacement windows you put in like a house or something like that. The ones at the Riley, they're physically kind of paneled sections that come in and come out. They are super efficient. They have to meet all these efficiency needs. Or Amoresco wouldn't have even recommended them because they're only going to get paid if they see the savings in utility costs. So the windows that are being proposed, say for LeBlanc, are very similar to what would go into a Riley school or a Moody school or a Washington school. I can certainly get you some information on the efficiency ratings and the utility savings, things of that sort. There is a distinction, I think, that needs to be made between general maintenance and upkeep of buildings, which certainly is lacking, and I think we all feel that concern. Those kind of costs would not be eligible for bonding. Capital projects like this, certain dollar thresholds, things of that sort, are eligible for the bonding. I'm not familiar with the way the city is bonding this project. This is a piece, and you can see on page 3 of the memo, there was like a $3.1 million bond, and about $650,000 are these school projects. I don't know what the city of bond council would do, quite honestly, if the school committee said they didn't approve of these projects. The city may need to reallocate those funds towards other projects that they have that would be suitable for this bond. I know a lot of the projects, like I said, though, basic wear and tear and maintenance type stuff would not be covered by this kind of bonding. If it's the wish of the committee to not approve it tonight and to go back, I certainly can do that. I do not know what it would do to jeopardize these projects being considered.
Ms. Martin?
Thank you. I think we're probably best served to vote to approve this evening. It's not my wish to hold this up, I do think that we should be scheduling a facilities subcommittee as soon as possible, because I think it would be helpful for us to have this conversation again. So I would make that in the form of a motion to approve the memorandum as presented by the administration.
Okay, which would equal $757,500. Motion by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. Leahy. Roll call.
Mayor Milanazzo? Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larraba? Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Approved. Just a motion to report of progress. Motion made by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Conway. All those in favor? Motion passed. Under new business, permission to post Fine Arts Academic Department Chair. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Leary. There is a posting included in your packet this evening. This was the new position to reinstate the Fine Arts Department Chair, academic chair that was voted on at the budget hearing. And so this is a posting, an updated posting for that position that was approved at that particular time.
Ms. Doherty?
Sorry. Motion to post the position of Lowell High School Academic Chair of Fine Arts.
Seconded by Mr. Conway. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Milanazzo? Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larraba? Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent.
Okay, approved. Convention and conference requests? There are none. Communications, just informational. Lowell Telecommunications, Channel 10. Broadcast of the school committee meetings live on the first and third Wednesday of the month. Thursdays at 9 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m. Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Professional personnel, civil service, and a motion to adjourn by Ms. Martin. Whoops, I'm sorry. I'll place this on, make a motion to place this on file by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Doherty. All those in favor? Very excited, aye. I guess a motion to adjourn by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Leahy. I want to thank you all for my very first time being up here, especially Mr. Leahy. Yeah. Thank you very much. Just call me Jim. All those in favor by saying aye? Aye. Approved. Have a great night.